Good morning. Hope you're all doing well this morning. Hope you're all having a great Lord's Day, and can't wait for the time when we can all meet back together again, hopefully soon. As we think of the communion and the Lord's Supper this morning, I want us to think back to a story that we don't normally associate with the Lord's Supper, but I want us to think back to the story of Esther. Most of us know the story. I'm not going to go into the full details of the story, but Esther was queen to Ahasuerus. King Ahasuerus was displeased with his queen Vashti and ended up replacing her with Esther. Esther was also a Jew, and one of the king's commanders, Haman, wanted to destroy the Jews, and he had developed kind of a secret plot to make that happen with the king's decree. And so Esther felt compelled, for the love of her people, to approach the king to try to save the Jews from being annihilated by Haman and the king's army. Let's read Esther chapter 4 and 11 together. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces know that any man or woman who goes into the inner court to the king, who has not been called, he has but one law: put all to death, except the one to whom the king holds out the golden scepter, that he may live. Yet I myself have not been called in to the king these 30 days. So just imagine that in order to save your people, you have to approach the king, who happens to also be your husband, but you're fearful that just in approaching him when you haven't been summoned, you could die for that. That was a crime punishable by death, to dare to approach the king when he has not sent you a specific invitation to you personally. And when I think about the Lord's Supper, when I think about what we're doing, the fact that we are communing together, but we're also communing with the Lord and remembering his death, it's really a message of gratitude. I am so grateful that we serve a king that we can commune with weekly, that we can approach, that we can have a relationship with, that is our mediator as we go to God in prayer, and a mediator on our behalf. And Hebrews chapter 4 verse 16 says, "Let us then with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need." How awesome it is to serve a king like that. A king that his throne isn't of harsh rule and death and punishment, but a throne of grace and a throne of mercy and a throne of forgiveness. And so certainly as we take the fruit of the vine and the bread, it reminds us of his body and blood that was shed on the cross. But it's also a time to pause and think and be grateful for the kind of king that he is, that we can approach him, that we can share a meal with him weekly, and that we can have a relationship with him, and that he mediates on our behalf and wants us to have the right relationship with him and the right relationship with God.